Okay, good morning. I think this is probably a live streaming event. Um, if you are seeing this, there's a couple different ways to be a part of the conversation. Um, just trying to make sure it's all working on my end. So bear with me as we try to make this all play together. If you are joining us via the live streaming event link on the web page, if you want to be a part of the chat, just go down to the bottom right corner and click the YouTube button, and that'll open up the YouTube browser. And then you can look at all the chat that's happening as we have this conversation today. And actually, the chat's going to be a pretty important part for you to jump back into the conversation and ask questions. So I'll try to pause every once in a while. So if you are on the chat, if you are there, just go ahead and say hi so I can kind of get a sense of who I'm speaking to today before we get jumping right into the presentation. So again, if you're watching this via the group leaders page, just find the video and then on the click the play button and then go down to the bottom right corner and click YouTube, and then it'll pop up a YouTube link to the video. And from there, you'll be able to do the chat function. So there. Okay, so some of you are following along. I appreciate the efforts on your part to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and jump right into presentation. Let me just figure out how to do that for just 1 second. Yeah, I know you didn't sign up for my whistling. All right, so you should be able to see the PowerPoint presentation at this point. Can somebody verify that with some kind of a thumbs up or something in the chat function? That would be awesome. I'm just verifying that you can see the PowerPoint. Says NCYC 2019. Seems silly that I have to ask these questions. And there's a time delay, so it takes a bit of time for me. Okay, I think I hit the mute button. Thanks for everybody for jumping in. I'm going to go back and start over. All right. Can you hear me now? If somebody can hear me now. Yeah. All right. Better now? There it is. There's a button on on my thing that if you push it just wrong, it mutes the whole thing. So I'm going to put a piece of tape over that so that that never happens again. Okay. NCYC, we've seen the slides. It happens every 2 years. Big, a lot of people. We bring a lot of people. Cool. Moving forward. I'm catching up for last time. General sessions start and end each day. So I'm not sure when I cut off the audio. Breakout sessions in between, 3 of them on Friday, 2 of them on Saturday, speakers from all across the country on a wide variety of topics. The thematic village or interactive park that happens at NCYC is one of the most unique things about the National Catholic Youth Conference. The thematic village takes people or allows participants to wander through any kind of Catholic experience you can imagine, from Catholic vendors to vocations, to Catholic universities and colleges, to hands-on experiences, to artists, to everything you can possibly imagine within the scope of the Catholic Church is available through this thematic village. Everything from recreation to the deeply spiritual, hands-on service projects, etc. So it's a big experience. It's one of my recommendations to groups that are planning their trip to NCYC, and you'll get more details on this in the future. But one of my recommendations is to consider a time when you're with your young people, either in a small group or as a whole parish group, to actually skip a round of breakout sessions to go experience a thematic village for a significant amount of time, because there's very formative experiences that happen in there as well. So it's an amazing thing. Also, throughout the course of the day, there's daily masses. I think last year they more than doubled the number of daily masses that were available, and reconciliation at NCYC is routinely a very positive experience for our young people. Reconciliation available during the day, and typically has been built into a special element of the Friday night general session as well. I don't know if that'll continue, but sacraments are available at NCYC and are a big thing of the experience. And also, this is an opportunity for you to spend time with your small group or young people to accompany them through their faith journeys. So it's one thing to have a lot of experiences at NCYC, and it's a whole nother experience to take those experiences and process them and walk through what that can mean to them when they get back to Iowa. So we don't want to make sure it's just all stimulus without any kind of process. So there's time in your hotels for small group processing time, as well as if you can branch out during the day as well. But the cool thing about this is it's Catholics from all across the country, from a whole bunch of different varieties of practices and traditions and understandings and cultures. So I'll talk more about this in my last few slides today, but it's a big church. And for our kids to experience the scope of Catholic young people and the diversity that exists in our even in the church in the United States, the diversity is amazing. So it's a gift for our kids to experience this big of a church. And every year at the end of NCYC, we ask young people what they got out of it. And here's just some of the things that are important to talk about. If you're on the fence about whether or not you want to do NCYC, this is what we can say NCYC does. Absolutely. So this is what our young people say on a scale of 1 to 4, like absolutely for the most part or somewhat or whatever. So this is the people say absolutely that NCYC made them feel more part of a larger Roman Catholic community, that made them feel more comfortable being Catholic, and it gave them opportunities to experience the sacraments like we talked about previously. These are big, powerful numbers, and it continues. There's a lot more things NCYC does other than this, but these are the big 3 that tend to stand out every year. Why do we have 1,800 young people and their adult chaperones going to NCYC? So we ask this also. And the number that's the most striking to me is this number that 57% of our young people go to grow in their faith. And that's what they say. And that's been that constant number. As our numbers have grown from 600 kids all the way up to 1,800, that percentage has not changed. We're still reaching kids who are looking to grow in their faith. Also, to learn about their faith, with almost 15% of our kids saying that as well. That says that there's a hunger for the young people in our diocese, that 2/3 of our participants are going to grow in their faith or learn about their faith. Now, interesting, you see the gender split here. Our young men who go tend to be more likely to meet people and to have fun, but it doesn't mean they're not having positive faith experiences. So NCYC is an invitation to something deeper, especially for our young men, is pretty critical. So this is why we do it. This is why Jim and I put so much time into NCYC, because we believe that the kids who are going for good reasons, and we want to make sure we make it as easy for you to bring them as possible. A lot of information on NCYC can be found on our group leader website. So if you ever get a question about NCYC, first, don't hesitate to email me or email Jim or whoever is going to be working with you through NCYC. But if you want to first start by going to the group leader website, you're going to find a lot of information. On the group leader website right now, which is, by the way, you see the link on the screen, dbqarch.org/NCYCGL. The GL stands for group leader. Okay, you're putting it together. Anyway, on that site, you're going to find our group leader packet, which is, I think it's a 20-some page document, and it really spells out a lot of information about NCYC. That packet will change periodically as more information or as new forms come into existence. We try to keep that as up-to-date, as current as we can. We will try to ensure that we let you know if we make a change, but we of course can't make sure we can't promise that. But just look to the group leader packet for most of your questions will be answered there. We do keep a live streaming video event going every month. We'll be starting those, I think, in November or December of this fall to keep that conversation going. We tend to aim for about 20 to 30 minutes. We aim for 20 to 30 minutes, but they typically go long. All of those events will happen on a Friday at 10 o'clock, typically speaking. They will all be recorded and posted to the group leader website where you found this link today. If you actually go to that link now, the group leader website, there's an arrow that says see previous videos. So even the videos from 2017 are still there. We will be taking them off as we start the 2019 series, just so that we're not confusing people, because the information will change. You will find all of the necessary forms that you need to collect and complete on the group leader website. Also, we do create an NCYC group leader portal. This gives you live access into your group's information and allows us to collect information from you and share information with you. So this registration portal is where we collect your registration information to process the registration to the national office. We share all that information with them. So you only have to give us the information once, and then you're done with that. Also on this portal, you'll be able to see your bus assignments, your rooming assignments, all the information pertinent to your group as that information becomes available. You access right into our database so you can see how your group is pulling together and functioning. It gives you access to change some of the information where you can, but access and see the information that you cannot change. Also, other resources and ideas. We've typically put up there preparation resources, like if you were to gather your young people before NCYC, here's some ideas for what you can do. We've had an NCYC journal, participant journal in the past. You would find that on this site. And any other resources and ideas that develop will be posted to the group leader website. So check that out periodically on your slow days when you got nothing better to do. All right, group leader packet. This is the detailed document we referred to. So what I'm going to do today is just kind of walk through different sections of what's already in that group leader packet, just to give you an overview so that you can listen to this and kind of follow along if you want to. So if you were to open up that group leader packet now and kind of page along, that's probably prudent. Otherwise, you can go back and access it any time. So the group leader packet includes the important dates, how we collect payments from you, how we collect registration information from you, how to build your team, inform your chaperones, what services the Archdiocese provides, and how we manage logistics issues, and some other ideas as well. So that's a lot of information about this conference that's hosted there. Let's jump to important dates, because this is what a lot of people want to know. What do I have to do by when? Okay, so the assumption we're working with right now is that the cost for NCYC is going to be $575 a person. That's for youth participants and adult participants. We don't differentiate a price for adults or youth. It's $575. We'll talk about that price breakdown in a little bit. Now, this is an assumption. We don't know these numbers. The final cost will not be determined until we know what our hotel assignments are, because the cost of the hotel is really a big factor in the price. So I can't promise it'll be $575, but I would say it's probably a 50 to 60% chance that it'll be $575. I do not think it'll be over $600. I think the highest we would ever go is $595, but like I said, I'm pretty sure it'll be $575, but don't want to make any promises. All right, so what I need from you as a group leader Relatively soon. We like to have this number by December. Is just a ballpark group size estimate. This estimate number is what we submit to the national office for them to help find us hotels. Last year we were in 5 hotels. This year, if our numbers increase as we're expecting them to get over 2,000 people from the Archdiocese of Dubuque. That's kind of our goal, is to ensure that we're inviting enough people, all the right people, to go to the NCYC. So 2,000 people will warrant about 7 hotels, and so we want to know what size hotels we need based on these estimates. They will not be attached to any kind of money due from you until February 1st. So we do want a group size estimate by December, but you can change that number right up until February 1st. So if you were to let us know on January 30th, our group size has changed, the estimate's not going to be 20 people, we're going to be closer to 50 people, then that's fine. Just let us know that on January 30th. Then on February 1st, we will submit an invoice amount to the finance office that will bill your parish for $100 per person in your group on February 1st. We don't need to know at that point who those people are. We just need to know numbers about how many people from your group. Now, that's a non-refundable deposit. That means that if you have 30 people on February 1st, you're going to be billed 30 people times 100. I'm doing this math in my head. I'm pretty sure that's $3,000. Yeah. So you'd be billed $3,000. That's a non-refundable payment. That being said, we do have a system in our diocese that allows parishes to buy and sell spots from one another. So if you bought 30 spots in February, but it turns out you need 35, we're going to go to a parish that bought 15 but only needs 10, and we will have you buy those 5 spots from them. They will get $100 from each spot from you, and you will pay an additional $500 on the next invoice cycle to buy those 5 spots. So they're non-refundable, but they're transferable. I hope that makes sense, and we will help you through that. That whole process is explained in the group leader packet. So anyway, that's $100 non-refundable. April 1st comes up with another non-refundable payment of $150. That's also transferable, non-refundable, but transferable. And again, if you let us know on March 31st that your group size changes, we will do what we can to make sure we can buy or sell those spots for you and adjust your invoiced amount based on your most up-to-date group numbers. The most important lesson here is let us know as soon as you can of any changes to your group so we can process that for you. June 1st, another $150 payment. We try to put all of our payments before the summer, the bulk of our payments before the summer, to give you more time to not have to worry about a July payment and collecting money in June when people are all gone on vacation all over the place. So we moved our July payment, those of you who've done this before, we moved our July payment earlier to make it easier for you to collect that money in May. Excuse me. September 1st is the big deadline. September 1st is when the final payment for your group is invoiced, and when all registrations are essential, they need to be complete by September 1st, and all paper forms need to be in our office. That gives us really only 25 so days to process all of that paperwork, because we need to send it all to the national office by September 30th. I don't even know if there's a September 31st. Is there? I don't know. Does September have 31 days? But whatever that last day of September is when all changes need to be made to us. Now, we do have a little bit of flexibility after that, but we ask you not to make any assumptions that you can make substitutions or changes to any group numbers after September 30th. Once we get into October, things are starting to get closed down a lot. We work hard to make those changes accessible to you if we can. Excuse me. All right, here's the cost breakdown. Registration price is set by the national office. I'm not 100% sure, but I think the registration price is still going to be $225. Transportation, we take everybody that goes and all the bus prices and divide it up by everybody who goes, and it turns out to about $100 a person. The lodging turns into about $150 a person, depending on hotel capacity and the price of each hotel. We do provide some meals. Thursday supper, as soon as you get to Indianapolis, we'll provide a meal for you on Thursday night so that you don't have to worry about getting to your hotel and getting people fed before getting downtown. Typically, that has been a Jimmy John's delivered meal. So Jimmy John's delivers 1,800 meals. They did it last year in about a half hour. Who delivered 1,800 meals to 3 or 4 different hotels. So that's a pretty cool experience just in its own right. Then we have a wide variety of administration expenses. We'll talk about the A team in a little bit, but we do provide a whole background team that's there just to support you during NCYC. That team is probably going to be over 30 people this year, so their registrations, their lodging, their expenses all gets covered by this registration expense, or by this administration expense. Travel for us to go to different parishes and make sure we're doing the chaperone trainings in October, and we'll do some more chaperone trainings this spring, we think. Shirts, other supplies are covered by that admin expenses, and then anything else that's just kind of falls into the cost of NCYC. So all of that is kind of how we get to the price of $550. Details. So here's how this works. So you will provide to us as soon as you can which parish you want us to be billing for your group's expenses, and we will send the invoice to that parish. Like I said, you can change your group size according to the guidance in the group leader packet, so make sure you see that and understand that. You can change your group size the day before the invoice goes out. If you've got people who are coming in and we got room for them, we're going to do what we can to get them in, and then we will just change your amounts as we need to. We have whole kinds of computers working on processing that information for us. And also know there's financial assistance. So we do provide two different categories of financial assistance inside the Archdiocese. A hardship discount is for somebody who's going through a situation where they just need Jesus in their lives. I mean, that's probably the best way to say it. So somebody who's lost a parent, somebody whose family's going through a divorce, somebody who's just been really struggling personally. If all they have to do is complete an application and explain that hardship to us and how NCYC is going to help them, and we will try to help them with $150 financial assistance. Low income is easier to identify. It's people who qualify for free or reduced price school lunches in your system. So if there's a low income household, we'll give them a $300 credit to your group to cover a significant portion of their cost. And then there's also financial assistance from the National Federation for Catholic Youth Ministry, the NCYC. That assistance is varied depending on who's in your delegation. So you can apply for assistance through the National Federation for Catholic Youth Ministry as well. And our parishes in this diocese have a history of doing that. Each year we give away about $15,000 in financial assistance just at the archdiocesan level, plus another few thousand from the NCYC tends to come in. So there's help available. So we don't want people being turned away from NCYC because they can't afford it. If the right people who want to go to NCYC get to go, that's what we want. We want to make sure that the right people who want to go get to go. That's what we work hard to do. So here's about the registration process. The first thing we're going to ask for from you as soon as possible is just to let us know who your group is. If you're thinking about forming a group from your parish, we just want to know who you are so we know how to communicate with you. We're going to ask for a ballpark estimate number. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. That's not locking you into stone. That's just kind of giving us some basic information. We just really want to know at this point who you are. Group size estimates this fall, that'll be finalized in January. So just give us a ballpark estimate. March through May, we encourage you before summer gets crazy to collect as much of the required forms and payments as possible and register your participants if you can on the group leader portal. That will get your work done so that when you come back to school in the fall and in September, you're not going to be crazy. Trust me, the sooner you do this, the more sane you will be. Otherwise, August is an insane month trying to get to all the groups, all the people you serve and their forms and their payments. It gets to be a hassle. So to make things easier for you, we're challenging you March through May to do the collection of forms, and so they're in before the summer gets nuts. In July and August, we'll be making final group edits. Any additions and subtractions, you can still make changes on the portal, and we can still do substitutions. So if the information you get in March through May changes, we can still work with that. It's just not as easy as it is earlier. And like I said, all forms due September 1st. And we will work with you. If things change, we will try to work with you. The most important thing to remember is that communicate with us as soon as possible so we can explore options. Because one change in one group can greatly affect a change in another group. People are looking for spots or trying to sell spots. And so we can help each other out if we just communicate with the Archdiocesan offices. Forming your group. So our target audience is teens who are in 9th to 12th grade in the 2019 to 20 school year. So those people who are in 8th grade now and those people who are going into their junior year now are the target audience for NCYC. So that's who we want to look at as we're thinking about who to invite to this experience. Adults are required for your group. The ratio is 2 adults for the first 10 young people, then 1 adult for every 6 after that. So Jim Bessner down the hall and I have a list of a chaperone breakdowns of how to determine exactly how that works out. So if you've got 25 young people going, you need 5 adults. If you've got 38 teens going, you need 7 adults. We got a breakdown schedule. So if you have any questions about how to make sense of that math, by no means don't hesitate to ask. But you need to have adults. Now let's talk about the adults. One of the things I'm encouraging our group leaders to do this year is to be very deliberate about the adults they recruit to NCYC. And here's why. The National Conference does a great job of providing an experience of our Catholic faith, but it's really important that those encounters of Jesus and his church are followed up during the event and after the event. So if you've got adults in your parish who you think would be great accompaniers of young people, good faith mentors, my hope is that you would be able to recruit them first, because that's going to benefit your ministry to young people well beyond NCYC. So if you've got great adult accompaniers, to recruit them to your national conference team first would be kind of my challenge to you. We also know that parents are hugely impacted by NCYC. A lot of adults want to go to this conference with their son or daughter or both, or whoever their whole family's going. And that shared encounter is pretty powerful. In fact, we've learned from our evaluations that NCYC is just as much of an impact on the adults who go as it is on the young people. So if we want to change families, we do want to make sure NCYC is open for parents to come with their children. So that would be as a second kind of option, parents who want to go. I'd make a special plea to your pastor to see if there's a way for them to go. Now, there's no way every pastor can go, because we'd have to close down all of the masses the weekend of NCYC. And I think the Archbishop would not be okay if we didn't have Mass in the Archdiocese that weekend. So our priests do have pastoral responsibilities, but if you can encourage your pastor to consider it and see if it's possible, or at least to help cover for another pastor who's not going to be around that weekend because they're going to NCYC, that would be great. Be deliberate in who you bring. There are some adults who just want to go to this experience because they just want to support your young people, but they can't commit beyond that. That's up to you. We had one group last year that had more adults than they had young people. There were some issues with that. So just be deliberate in who you bring. Again, the ratio is an absolute minimum that needs to happen because of chaperoning responsibilities. But please try to see what you can do to get some adult empowerment there. All adults, whether they're parents or pastors or anybody, needs to be protection of children compliant. That means they're going to go through the background check and the new training that the Archdiocese is using, the Catholic Mutual Group training. Every adult has to do that, be 100% compliant, or nobody from our diocese can go. That's an Indianapolis diocese standard. So we verify 100% compliance for all of our adults. All right, here's a little bit about the services that we provide to make this easy for you. The A-Team has been there as a staple for the Archdiocesan delegation for about 10 years now. This is a group of adults who go and just support behind-the-scenes stuff. So we will have teams of adults walking the halls in each hotel at night, starting at about 11 o'clock and going until everybody's asleep, usually by 3 or 4 in the morning. Now, the idea here is that if your adults are there to focus on your young people, so they need to get some sleep at night so they can be attending to your young people during the day. So we want your adults and you to be sleeping. So we provide evening security and hall walking and knocking on doors when kids are a bit loud and just encouraging them to get some good sleep. So that hall walking crew we had last year, I think we had 24 people walking halls as part of the A-Team. We will provide transportation as well. So during the day, this A-Team members have a fleet of vehicles to drive young people and chaperone back to a hotel. If the young person's not feeling well, they just need to go lay down for a little bit. That's not uncommon. We've had some situations where kids had like flu-like symptoms, so we wanted to make sure we took them away from the downtown experience. We've had some adults who've had medical issues and needed to be transported. So we're there because you don't have access to a vehicle. We provide that access for you. And we also have a team of medical professionals, typically nurses, who are there to help you consult about whether or not to call home, whether or not to go to the emergency room, or whether or not this just needs some water and maybe a saltine. Typically, most of our problems are solved by water and rest. We'll talk about that more as we get into the program year next fall. And Arch administration, so the team that we work with here does a lot of background scenes to support you too. We do provide a chaperone and faith mentor training. So those adults who are going to be going with your group, we're going to be providing a series of trainings that you can offer to them. We do provide on-site hotel hospitality for you so that you have someone to talk to every day if there's an issue or if you want to communicate with other group leaders in your hotel. We can provide for you emergency shopping experience. So if there's something your group had planned to bring, but you forgot in your cooler at the parking lot when you left, not talking to anybody specifically, but you needed 16 pounds of ham and cheese, we can do that shopping for you and bill your parish later. And we also provide daily communications. Last year, we brought our IT specialist, Jeremy Jones, along, who was able to help us provide daily communications. We'll be providing that in hard copy and up-to-date texts and email messages and website posts. So we'll communicating with you as much as we can. So that's the services we provide while we're there. A few other details. We do have a lot of buses, and we try to put between 53 and 56 people on each bus. So once we see what your group size is in August, we will start doing bus assignments. Those bus assignments will also be used to determine hotel assignments. You'll tell us, we do ask for you to let us know how you want your people to be grouped, preferably in groups of 4. 4-person accommodation is what we're looking for. All our adults are put to a room. That we do want adults to sleep well. So as much as possible, we provide adults their own bed. Married couples will be put in the same room. That's a good way for us to model the healthy marriages of our adults to our young people. So busing, we will assign you to a bus. We'll let you know in August or September. The hotel assignments, you will tell us the groupings. We will plug them into rooms as best as we can according to your wishes, and we will communicate that, and you'll be able to access all of this on the group leader portal. The meals, like I said, will mostly be on your own, but breakfast should be available at all of our hotels. We have to negotiate that with a lot of our properties. Thursday supper is Jimmy John's. We talked about that earlier. And then we also try to provide pre-ordered pizza slices available at each hotel. This allows you to let us know in advance if you want to make this option available for your young people, and then we will order those and have them delivered at a specified time, so you don't have to rush back to the hotel, place an order for your pizzas, have them delivered at 1 o'clock in the morning, and then have to worry about kids going out of their room and not sleeping. So we arrange all that for you. It seems to make things a lot easier. Okay, those are details. Now here's for the fun challenge. I'm still struck by that scene from Spider-Man, the old one, where Uncle Ben said, with a lot of power comes great power comes with a great responsibility, right? Whatever that line is. With great power comes great responsibility. And I'm aware that we have the largest delegation in the country. I'm aware that our 2,000 people, with very little effort, can make a huge difference in the universal church. So Archbishop and I have talked, and we've agreed it seems like a good plan for us to challenge ourselves to reach out to those dioceses that do not have the same economy of scale that we do not have the same financial resources we do. And so this year we are going to partner with 2 dioceses, the Diocese of Anchorage, Alaska, and the Diocese of San Bernardino, California. Both of these dioceses are what's called mission dioceses. That means they do not have enough money inside their own diocese to fund their diocesan operations. So they don't have like a tax like we have in the Archdiocese that can generate enough funds to keep their diocese operating. So they depend on other dioceses to kick in money as well. Now that greatly prohibits their ability to come to NCYC, but in addition to that, the costs for them to come to NCYC are significantly higher due to their location. So while it costs us about $575 per person to go to a national conference, for somebody from San Bernardino, it would cost closer to $1,800, and Anchorage costs about $1,500 to $1,800 per person. Now, if you're a young teen in San Bernardino or in Anchorage, and you don't have that kind of money, this experience of the universal church that we are so excited to bring our young people to is just out of the question. So my challenge to you and Archbishop's challenge to us is to do what we can to bring the universal church to these people and to help bring them to accent our experience of the universal church as well. So my goal that I'm challenging to you is to find a way to raise $10,000 from our group for each partner diocese. Now that's enough to pay for maybe 8 people from San Bernardino to come to Indianapolis to be a part of our delegation, to sit with us and be with us and eat with us and stay at our hotels and be on our buses, to have the same experience and to give us an experience of what life is like for those young men and women in Southern California. So to do this, to raise $20,000, $10,000 for each diocese, it's only going to cost us about $10 per participant. So when you think about the amount of difference we can do for just $10 a kid, it's ridiculous the power we have just because of our economy of scale. So I'm trying to figure out a way to do that. What's the best way to make this work? So I'm going to challenge you, if you haven't jumped into the chat yet, again, you can do that if you're viewing this on the group leader page on the website. Just click on the YouTube link on the bottom right, and it'll open up a YouTube page that'll give you the ability to enter into the chat. And if you don't have access to the chat because you're watching this video maybe 2 weeks from now, maybe it's September when you're finally getting around to seeing this, if you can send me an email at k.feyen, k.feyen at dbqarch.org, and let me know your thoughts on these 2 questions. Again, if you can send it in the chat, that would be great. Then I have some instant feedback. But the first question is, would you be willing to not have an Archdiocesan t-shirt and instead of spending $10 on a long sleeve shirt, to instead spend that money on helping people have the access, that would just be helpful. So is that something you think you and the people from your group would be willing to sacrifice, a shirt that's maybe only worn a few times a year, to give this experience, life-changing experience to young people? Or would you be willing to have your group fundraise specifically for these 2 dioceses? Either one of these, both of these might be helpful. So let me know your preferences in the chat, if you don't mind taking some time to put your thoughts in there. I've seen from one person so far that it seems like they would almost rather fundraise than give up the shirts. It would be fun to get an Archdiocesan shirt as well. So that's a question. So Archbishop specifically challenged me and said, we're spending $20,000 on t-shirts. That's a lot of money to spend on t-shirts. Is it worth $20,000 when that could be used instead to So what I'm hearing from the chat is that it seems like the shirt is pretty awesome and that the Archdiocesan identity is worth representing, and then the fundraise would be the way to go. So that's what I'm hearing. If you're just seeing this again for the first time and it's not on August 17th, just send your feedback to me. I am curious about how we're going to move forward with this. I do know that it's just I'm excited when I talk to these diocesan directors about the opportunity to make a difference to them. Just how grateful they were to partner with us. And it is my hope that it wouldn't just be money that we're throwing at them, but also a real strong partnership, that we would let their diocesan charisms and their culture impact us in a positive way as well. All right. So here's the next step. So for us to move forward, I need contact information. So if you don't mind, you could, there's probably no way for you to cut and paste these questions, but you can come back to view this video in about 5 minutes when we're all done. But we do need from you, if you can email Jim Betzner, there's the email address there, Jim Betzner, j.betzner@dbqarch.org. And what we need from you is the group contact name or names. So who are you? And if there's somebody else that's going to be a contact for your group, maybe you're doing this as a partnership, to let us know both of those names. Parish cluster. So who is the group going to be under? So is it under a parish? If it's under a cluster, let us know the name, how you want to be identified. That will be a constant from this point forward. Let us know the city of that parish or cluster. The most important thing for us moving forward is, where does the bill go? So if you know that there's a building entity, if it's a cluster entity, if it's a parish that's getting billed, let us know. We will communicate with our finance office where those billings go based on how you answer that. And then for you, what's the best email to reach you? We do monthly email updates. And what's the best phone number to reach you in case we need to get a hold of you? And then if you can include just a ballpark estimate. At this point, do you think you're going to have 5 kids? Do you think you're going to have 50 kids? If you're Annie's Eats, you're going to have 240 kids. So what's your ballpark estimate? And our group sizes do range from about 6 to 166. So anywhere in there is fine. This is not locking you into anything at this point. We just want to know a ballpark, and we'll plug that in, and you can let us know again in a month if that's going to change. You can let us know in December what that number is more likely to be, and you can change it right through January before we invoice you for that. We do want as close as possible to an estimate in December, so that because that's going to affect hotels and what hotels we get. But if you can crank out an email, maybe you're doing it right now. Jim's excited to hear all of this information from you. But who are the names of your contacts, parish information, building information, email, phone number, and just a ballpark estimate of how many you think you'll have in your group. If you were at the August 8th Catholic School Administrator Faith Formation Leader Day, you should have gotten an NCYC flyer with the exact same information on it. So just to direct that feedback to us so we can get plugged into a mailing list, that would be awesome. All right, at this point, I will entertain questions from the group. If anybody has a chat question you want to jump in with. Otherwise, please know that if there's ever a question or a concern or a comment or an idea, feel free to send them to me. I will field those as quick as I can because it's our job. We take it seriously to make this as easy as possible for you to bring young people to the national conference. We want to make it easy and do what we can so that you can spend your time not worrying about the logistics, but worrying about the faith lives of the young people you serve. That's where you can reach them and we can't. So we're going to do our job to get you hotel rooms and get this easy for you and take care of the logistics so that you can spend your time in ministry. Okay, any thoughts or questions? Not seeing any. So we're going to wait about 10 seconds because there is a time delay. So that's really the end. If you don't have any questions and you want to go about more active, busy ministry, feel free to go to work. If you want to stay on here and just kind of chill, that's cool. Close your eyes, put your head down. I can make some ocean noises, maybe lull you to sleep a little, if you haven't fallen asleep already. All right. Is there a way we could coordinate NCYC prep with the diocese partners? Ooh, perhaps pen pals or something similar. This is a great idea. In fact, what I'm hoping to get from them soon is a video giving us an overview of who their diocese is. And yes, I would love to see some kind of a connection. What I'm thinking about doing, Zeke, great question, is I'm actually thinking about pairing them up with a parish group specifically rather than the whole diocese. So if youth, like they would be staying in the same hotel with you or on your bus every morning to really be fully integrated into our group, kind of in a close-knit way. If you think you would love to be the group that this group is partnered up with, one of these two dioceses, let me know, and that's helpful. So anyway, but yeah, there's going to be some way for us to have at least an awareness of what it's like to live in Anchorage and be a native Alaskan for a young person going through those experiences of what it's like living that far into the northern lands and what it's like being a young Catholic teen in Southern California and what are their realities like. Promotional materials for our parishes. That's so I created this informational flyer that targets group leaders. You know what? We don't at this point have any kind of draft promotional materials for NCYC. I am curious. A lot of our parishes, you know what? And since I've been doing this since 2005, I've never created promotional materials for NCYC, and our program has grown dramatically. So let me see what I can do to have our design team upstairs put together a youth promotional flyer for NCYC. If you've got ideas about what that should include, or if you have your own, go ahead and feel free to use whatever resources you have. But let me see if I can get something developed maybe by mid-September. And then you can always get those from us, and we can send them out to you if you think that'll be helpful. That's a great idea, Michaela. Thank you. Any other questions, thoughts, prayer intentions? Okay, like I said, we are here to help, so please feel free to let us know at any time if that's something if you have a question or have any kind of a concern moving forward about what the National Catholic Youth Conference could be for you. If you are like maybe thinking about this and you're not sure yet, if you're a pastor and you don't have anybody employed who could do NCYC, let me know. There's a lot of ways we can either maybe partner you up with a nearby parish, or I'd be happy to drive out and meet with your site and some volunteers and talk about the real details about how this all comes together. It's our hope that you don't feel like you're doing this alone, So if this is your first time, please let me know, and be mindful of that. Always let me know. Like every month, email me like, here's my new list of questions. I will do what I can to support you on that. And all of us here are pretty good about trying to support you in everything you do. So any questions, by all means, let me know. Otherwise, thanks for joining us, and have an excellent Friday, unless you're watching this some other time, and then have an excellent whatever day you're watching this on. Okay, very good. I will see you all when I see you. Thanks for all you do for our church. Thanks. Bye-bye.